You'd like me to regrade your plagiarized paper. When I was a poorly paid and overworked adjunct professor, I once had a student ask me to take another look at his B paper, something I would do anytime a student felt strongly they deserved a better grade. This particular paper was messy, good argument, decent research, but clunky writing and plenty of grammatical errors. Still, I agreed to take another look. On my second pass, a sentence caught my attention. Assuming the student had failed to cite a quote, I searched for the quote online. What I found was the original version of the student's essay, published in a Yale journal. He plagiarized the argument and research but rewritten the paper in his own words. Amazingly, almost as much work as just writing an original paper. I called him into my office, put both papers side by side, and asked if he had anything to say. He tried to pretend to be confused, but I cut that off. I let him off easy with an F in the class as long as he finished all the assignments and tests so he could still learn as much as possible, which he did. No report of plagiarism on a long-term record. But poor kid could have just gotten away with a B, if he hadn't been so confident of his great ripoff. I'm having flashbacks to my senior English lit class. We got a party at the end of the year because my class was the only one she never caught anyone plagiarizing or cheating in. I'll never forget my A-level English teacher handing back essays, and getting to one guy who flipped out that she gave him a U, ungraded. She let him have his tantrum, then calmly said, "Next time, don't leave the website link at the bottom of the page you got the essay from, and remember to check for hyperlinks. They show up in blue." He went completely red, and dashed out of the room while we all pissed ourselves laughing. No wonder he felt confident you marked him incorrectly. Man thought if he stole a Yale paper he would definitely get that grade. If you're caught plagiarizing in my uni you get kicked out. In a group project we had to write essays by ourselves and then get response from each other before sending them in. In the assignment it stood something like, "Find the answers in the books," and one girl took it literally and copied and pasted from the books. Then, when confronted by my friend, she acted like nothing until he said that she could be kicked out. Her response was, "Okay, I'll look over it again," and then changed everything. I always say if you make me take a closer look at something, you had better be 100% certain of your situation. I will become like a dog with a bone, nothing else will matter to me until I have completely broken down whatever it is. It will be unpleasant for all of us. Lol, it's not that he turned into a new leaf, he's just now better at not being caught. Why did you even tell me? You got to the ECF lol. Wait, plagiarism stays on record? That must be new. Writing is easy. You just make it all up. Every argument, every story, is simply the imaginarium of Dr. Ponassis. I suppose research papers are the worst, seeing as you need adequate sources to cite. Was the paper handwritten? Or did your school not use plagiarism detection software? All our assignments in uni were put through Turnitin to scan for any plagiarism. Wow, I bet you're so proud of yourself. All that power. You have none in the real world, and you're sad and pathetic. Sounds like they are too stupid to work there. Terminate the lot of them for gross incompetence. A failing grade is by no means a favor. I bet you had your little power trip. College professors take bribes from publishers to use their books and lesson plans, so plagiarism as an idea in academia is just bullshit. I wrote 50 Shades of Grey. The bitch teacher pretended I didn't write it. What do you know? 4 months later it was on every bestseller list in the Western world. Pre-Google. Wrote a short essay on Melville's Billy Budd. Used 1924 Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature and copied a NYT review. Did not get nailed for plagiarism but got a comment regarding my mental health. This is how I help my wife to study. She copies the relevant quotations from papers, and asks me to rephrase them. That's what Grammarly.com does, I suppose. YouTube is full of advertisements for this service. As a college student this scares me. Now you can get in trouble for merely having the same argument as one of the billions other people on this earth. That's BS. This isn't malicious compliance, it's doing your job. My Spanish teacher in high school told us a story of a student who took another student's paper out of the turn-in tray, took it to the library, made a copy of it, put their name on it and didn't even bother to at least try and cover up the original student's name. He plagiarized the argument and research but rewritten the paper in his own words. What? It's been years since I've been in school, but isn't that what you're supposed to do? You research, find your arguments and then put it in your own words. Still in all, I'm left wondering about how bad his having used that paper, and putting it in his own words, really was. I mean, you can't expect the students to come up with some groundbreaking, and hence not plagiarized master's thesis. So what is the difference between their putting some thesis and argument, etc. in their own words, and, well, putting other stuff that amount to the same in their own words? Am I alone in thinking that all education is just understanding something that someone else has done and then representing it in your own words? In high school I submitted an essay on Catch-22 I found online. Got 100 on the paper. Thank you, person that I blatantly plagiarized. I just really didn't want to write the paper. I did enjoy the book though. Echo. Good on you for letting the student off easy like that. Certainly takes balls wanting a better grade on a copied essay though. I don't understand this. Why plagiarize when you can just source it? How does one plagiarize an argument? Student got off way too easy. That explains why it was so poorly written. Probably not plagiarized if he asked you to regrade it. What a good LECT, not reporting it to the higher-ups or his head of program. I am an animation student and failing is the least of our worries if and when caught. It's not plagiarism if it's rewritten. Unattributed, sure, but everyone, every day paraphrases others' ideas, words, creations etc. I had a teacher fail all my English papers. I failed his class, had to retake that class and double up and do my current class. I flipped out on him. He never gave me a failing grade after that. Lol, no wonder you're no longer a teacher. Failing someone for something that in the real world has no effect on your life. Bravo, hands clapping. What kind of professor gives a B to a Yale-level essay? I think they were in the right and you were wrong. I bet you feel like a fucking badass, the apex of graders, hell. A real champion amongst the scholar community, even, in giving the person you talk about in your post a failing grade. That's pretty incredible. How truly malicious. How compliant. I once had this happen, except the student plagiarized my paper. It had been provided to his class by another professor with my name removed as an example, and he submitted it back to me not knowing I would recognize the writing style immediately lol. Called the student into my office and he turned redder than any human I've ever seen lol. Face with rolling eyes, face with rolling eyes, face with rolling eyes, face with rolling eyes, and this is why there will always be problems. Complete lack of accountability. So you let your student get away with a plagiarized paper. That's interesting. I could guess a lot more about you and the student just from that comment, but I'll leave it there. I wonder if all your students are granted this leniency when they plagiarize. Do you know what? Don't answer that, I already know the answer to that one as well. B-. Sir, this was from Yale. I'm so glad I dropped out of college. Sounds like one of former co-workers. The only way he delivered anything was to plagiarize content from everywhere else, and then mash it together. Sometimes people could follow it, but it was often disjointed. What really clued me in was consistently changing perspectives. It was really clear he was plagiarizing when paragraphs read like a marketing statements instead of a technical analysis. Op is nicer than I would have been. This isn't exactly malicious compliance though. It's just compliance, that then ended up with a bad outcome. That is a badass solution, you get an F but you have to do all the work. In return, you don't go to Azkaban. I'm putting that one in the toolbox. In college writing, whatever it was called, I wrote a paper about Afghanistan and my professor gave me a C with no comments except that I supported the Iraq War. I had a meeting with him and went over my paper, some grammar issues sure, but then I asked about the comment since I didn't mention Iraq once in it nor even mention anything about it. He asked what I wanted in the class after checking it. Sigh. I'm glad you're so forgiving. It's easy for young people, you make really stupid mistakes that have lasting consequences. Sometimes a hard thwack is the best punishment. Hopefully he'll recalibrate himself and go on to be a decent human being. Hats off to you. You did him a favor, a big one. I recently graduated, as a mature-ish student. Whilst studying I received an email saying that I had to attend a meeting as they were investigating a teacher's claims I had plagiarized. I knew I hadn't but I was so nervous, like what the actual fuck. I sat there sitting myself. Then they called me in, I was on the edge of throwing up. Sorry to keep you waiting. There seems to have been a mistake, there is no reason for you to be here. Never heard anything about it again.